Lieutenant Lake. Lieutenant Lake.
Hey, Paul, get up. It's
Lieutenant Lake, you're almost out of uniform.
Paul, get up. Your
You're
watch.
Almost, Lieutenant, what? Huh?
Get up.
Lieutenant Lake, what? What? Oh. Oh, is it time for me to go on watch already?
Yes.
Oh, God. Oh, Emily, where did you go? Oh. 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 Hello. I'm Cod President Paul Ferrace. Boy, what a lovely dream that was. Lieutenant Lake in that tight uniform. Never mind. Welcome aboard USS Cod, and here we are for part 2 of the Afterbattery. The crew berthing space. 36 bunks. Not the greatest night's sleep for the first night, or frankly for the second night, but the third night you're sleeping in here, it's the best sleep you'll ever have. Anyway, come on over here. Let's start at the door. Yeah, I'm not even going to make my rack. I'm going to... All right, so... I'm going to step over here because this... I was going to do it. Come on in here and have a look at this. We don't want to leave out the U.S. Postal Service or the Military Postal Service. This is the ship's mailbox.
Anything in there?
My Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes application is missing, but there is a copy of Down Periscope, the greatest submarine documentary. Oh, Lieutenant Lake, you naughty, naughty lass. I'm going to put that back in there. Anyway, so starting here at this bulkhead, this is crew berthing. And of course, like most compartments on a submarine, it's going to do double duty. It's called Afterbattery because we've got 126 Exide Sargo 2 batteries just like this. And of course, those of you who are veterans of this channel know that these were replicas built by our crew to blueprint standards. And imagine 126 cells like this under our feet. We have it up here because this is where the public goes. But over here in the corner, our Lang Sherman ice cream machine. And yes, in 2000 AD, it was returned to working condition. We're going to have more on that in another program. But suffice to say, soft serve ice cream located right in here where you can grab it, you know, from the galley. 4 rows of 9 bunks or racks per row. And there are 2 aisles. And I'm going to have Evan back up. Back up. This is the main drag, or Broadway. Yeah, Ryan, you're not the only one with a Broadway, although our Broadway is a lot smaller. This is the main drag through the boat, and virtually everybody who is berthing from here forward is going to have to come through here to use the crew heads that are just immediately after this space. So there's Broadway, and over there on the port side is a blind aisle known to all fleet boat submariners as Hogan's Alley. Now, why or how it got the name Hogan's Alley is a big mystery. Let's go over there. We're going to move some of the bunking equipment and everything here. We're going to go on to Hogan's Alley. So, Hogan's Alley, as he knocks over Andrew Gordon Johnson's sea bag. Sorry, Andrew. There's a reason why I'm not in the ballet. Hopefully I'm not too badly backlit. You need me? You got to see the face.
You're beautiful. Don't worry.
Thank you. Anyway, do you think Emily Lake thinks I'm handsome? Anyway, so Hogan's Alley. The big mystery is how it got its name. And nobody knew until one day, a few years back, I was giving a tour, and I mentioned Hogan's Alley was the preferable place to berth in the Afterbattery. In fact, it was reserved for qualified crewmen, particularly the senior rates. The guys that are hot racking on Broadway. So that means 3 men are going to be assigned to 2 bunks with watch rotation. Remember, every 4 hours there's a shift in watch. So you have 1/3 of the crew asleep, 1/3 of the crew on duty, 1/3 of the crew in the way. So 36 bunks in here, about a dozen of them at any one time are likely going to be occupied. So this room is generally kept pretty dark, maybe a couple red lights. We keep it a little brighter because the public's coming through here, and we don't want any visitors to join the Mile Deep Club. Not on our watch, not on our boat. Anyway, so we were talking about Hogan's Alley. And a gentleman asked why it was called that, and I said, you know, nobody really knows. And he said, I think I have the answer. He said, I'm a cartoon historian. He said, Hogan's Alley was the first cartoon syndicated in American newspapers. We're talking 1890. And apparently, there were a bunch of cartoon characters who lived on Hogan's Alley, and let's just say they're all blithering idiots. And he said, these guys over here are jealous of these guys, are they not? And I said, yeah, indeed. And he said, you know, they're senior rates, so you can't, you know, make fun of them because they're the senior rates. And I said, you must have been in the military, and apparently he was. And he said, I'll bet these guys wanted to criticize these guys in a way that, you know, would kind of be backhanded and kind of in a way that they wouldn't really know unless they thought about it. By referring to where they sleep as Hogan's Alley, it's like saying they're among the cast of blithering idiots. And if you know how the military works, that really kind of makes a lot of sense. So for you submarine veterans in there, please chime in. What do you think? Does that sound like a good rationale for why this is called Hogan's Alley? Maybe Evan can put a little cartoon insert here of Hogan's Alley. Ooh, I think, are there polka dancing lessons on deck today?
I think we were just depth charged by the Canadians again.
Not the Canadian. Oh, that Henry, you know, anyway. Anyway, back in here. So Hogan's Alley, not really huge, but quieter, less traffic. You don't have people lined up waiting to get into the mess hall to eat. That could be a problem because guys are often putting their foot on your rack while you're trying to sleep. So this is, like I said, a little more exclusive gated community. Gated in that you have this one entryway. Now, for you smokeboat sailors, don't come here looking for the after-battery hatch down to the batteries, because this is a Gato, and even though it's a later Gato, they still were putting the battery access hatch virtually under the after battery crew hatch, so where the seawater is likely to come in. Doesn't make sense. It was later moved here. I know Croker has the hatch somewhere in here where you have a little more time to react if you get a deluge of seawater. You don't want salt water on your batteries. Anyway, and of course over here in the corner we have our medical locker. Oh, drugs and stuff. Little locker with the pull-out tray, and there's poker chips and ball bearings in here. Of course, this is where you want to stow the poker chips and the ball bearings. But anyway, the pharmacist mate had jurisdiction over this, and there would be some narcotics in here. Anyway, generally, if you had someone who needed medical care, not this bunk, which might have been for the pharmacist mate, so the medical department, yeah, actually this blanket should be on this bunk, and I'm just going to temporarily lift this. This is the medical locker bunk. So this is where your sick bay is, one bunk. And in fact, when we had people that were in need of dire assistance, this would be the rack that they would be sleeping in, so they could get attention from the pharmacist mate, and they were right here to the next to the equipment. Which on Cod, I think the most intense medical treatment we had to administer was for Petty Officer Jun Arima, a prisoner we pulled out of the water, who frankly was dying of internal bleeding. But we gave him a morphine drip and fed him intravenously, and it was right on that bunk. And he was never going to survive. The captain thought perhaps maybe there would be a miracle and he could live, but he didn't. But this is the bunk. Now, speaking of the bunks in here are not original. Sadly, because we were a reserve training boat, most of the submarine museums were reserve boats. The first thing they did was strip out 36 bunks in this compartment to make it a big classroom. So we have a mix of not quite so accurate white pipe racks. They should all have been stainless steel. We have great photos to insert here. The center line 18 bunks are troop ship bunks we pulled out of the World War II troop transport General Pope in Sassoon Bay. They're canvas wrought racks with the flash covers on them. And if you want to know about flash covers, go back to our earlier program where we open an original World War II flash cover on Cod. But anyway, when boats would go to the shipyard for repair and they ripped out 36 stainless steel, beautiful stainless steel bunks, at the end of your yard period, maybe 30 of them would come back, and you would fill in the missing racks with these troop ship blue steel pipe racks with canvas. By the way, when I was in Sassoon Bay in 1997, I tried to get the canvas racks that had soldiers' inscriptions, little notes to posterity, like Sergeant Joe Smith, Mobile, Alabama, going to Vietnam. I didn't want to look to see if the guy made it back, but we did try to grab those with inscriptions on them. So it does have historical relevance to have those. But we've got some pictures of our after-battery berthing space in World War II and some other boats to show how wonderful the bunk features were. In fact, Evan, if you can back up, just show them these beautiful stainless steel straps. Electric boat stainless steel straps. Again, stainless steel is a scarce commodity in World War II, but hey, that's how they rolled. With these rather intricate hooks so you can trice the bunks up and you can stow them vertical to get a little more space in here. Portsmouth built boats, not quite as elegant. They used chain, and in fact the stanchions on Portsmouth boats are literally just 3.5-inch steel pipes with J-hooks welded to them, not the elegant stainless steel racks we use, which were a major pain in the butt to restore and fabricate from a pattern, actually originals lent to us from the crew of the USS Cobia. Thank you, Cobia. Anyway, this room for Cod was where we conducted our crossing the equator ceremony. Basically, this is where the gauntlet was, where the spanking machine was for all the disgusting, lowly pollywogs to take their punishment to become crusty shellbacks. And again, we have a picture of that. But we're not going to show you too many pictures because that's a whole separate program. But suffice to say, Afterbattery had even more functionality because it's where we turned it into a spanking machine, basically by stowing the center line 18 bunks on the outboard, so for at least part of a day, so we could get the crew inducted. We're going to go aft, and we're going to show off the beautiful heads and the two-man shower. I'll keep my clothes on this time. Evan, I'm standing here dripping naked and cold. Would you please hand me that towel over there?
Not before you give me a raise.
Oh, shh. Anyway, two-man shower right now where we stow mops and things. 3 wash basins and our lovely Ringer washing machine. Wonderful picture of a sailor from the Bullhead. Sadly, the last boat lost. This picture was taken just a few weeks before the submarine was out on its last and fatal patrol. But anyway, this is the amazing thing about the fleet boat. You have two heads. Oh, get one of the heads on display. We don't need to keep both heads on display. And then just the three wash basins, because every day you got a basin bath. Every third day you could take a shower. Of course, cooks showered every day because they're, let's face it, they're handling the food. And your washing machine, shaving lockers for your razors and whatever you need to keep in there. I just love these mirrors here. They're highly polished metal. And of course we have our red and white lights. So we know these were probably very late because they actually say red and not blue. And forward engine room, but we're not ready to go there yet. So Evan, let's go back to the crew berthing. Don't fall over. We have to get a dolly shot here. I don't have my dolly with me. By the way, I do want to point out that they did no social distancing in World War II because the Navy Medical Department suggested that for health purposes, to stop the transmission of colds and things, that you stagger the bunks. Now there's a bunk over there, and of course the head is over here, and the head for this rack is over here, so you can smell the guy's feet, but it'll take an extra hour to get his cold if he has a cold. Bunk bags. There are lockers. There are small lockers here. I'm going to flip these bunk bags up. You can see the small lockers. If you're lucky to get a locker, that's wonderful. Some people didn't get lockers, but they had to rely exclusively on these bunk bags. They also, as you can see, provided some level of privacy. But again, as I mentioned earlier, you know, the guys that were not ongoing or off-coming watch that are waiting for those guys to eat, they would be standing where I am, and they might even be putting their foot up on the racks here to chit-chat with their shipmates. And that's not making life very pleasant for the crewmen trying to sleep in here, the low-ranking non-quals who are hot racking. I think we've covered Afterbattery. Remember, it's an amazing aspect of the fleet submarine that we had a room dedicated exclusively for sleeping, and then next to it a room just for dining for enlisted men. That kind of luxury is not found on contemporary foreign submarines of the time in general. And of course the wonderful calming seafoam green. Air conditioning. This is the air conditioning drip pan above my head. We still have a detonator stowage box in the overhead, so the little red canister thing. So you're sleeping with 3 torpedo detonators, not the warheads, but the detonators. I wouldn't want those things going off, especially if, Buckman is in here passing gas. Anyway, thanks for joining us. I hope you found this interesting. Again, if you're a submarine veteran, chime in. Tell us your stories of Hogan's Alley or how you managed to survive if you had a rack in crew berthing. Remember, hit like, subscribe, notification bell, and we'll be back with more content. Thanks.